I am a trauma counselor who runs my clinic, Olivia, and I am 36. I remarried after a divorce and now live happily with my second husband and our 2 kids. However, my eldest child Sophia is neither mine nor my husband's biological child. 12 years ago, my sister Vanessa, who was a single mom, left Sophia with me and disappeared. I'm going to live with Vanessa. That's what my ex-husband Nathan wrote in a note before vanishing, leaving behind divorce papers as well. Since then, no one had seen Vanessa or Nathan. But now, here they were, standing right in front of me. It was a chance encounter after 12 years in this upscale shopping mall, my heart nearly stopping at the sight of them. Hey, is that kid on Instagram? How many followers does she have? Though my stomach twisted with shock at the sudden question, I calmly replied, keeping my voice steady despite the flood of emotions threatening to overwhelm me. She's doing well. She's grown up and is now in middle school. Wow, that emotionless crybaby loser made it to middle school? Seriously? She only ever cried or had that sullen look. Can she even handle school properly? She was definitely not cute. Vanessa kept running her mouth while snapping selfies at different angles, Nathan laughing uncomfortably beside her. Mom. Just as I was about to end our conversation, my fingers clenching into fists at my sides, I heard a voice calling me from behind. Sophia, are you done? It was my daughter Sophia, wearing her prestigious private middle school uniform, her confident posture a stark contrast to the timid child Vanessa had abandoned. Well, we're leaving, I said as I greeted them, and Sophia did the same. As we started to walk past them, Vanessa suddenly lowered her phone and shouted. Hey, wait a minute. That kid? No way, right? Seeing her reaction, an idea sparked in my mind, sharp and clear. If you come here tomorrow at 10 a.m., I can spare some time to talk. With that, I handed Vanessa my business card with trauma counseling specialist, printed neatly across the top. Ignored whatever they were still saying, and walked away with Sophia, her hand warm in mine. Vanessa had always been spoiled since she was a kid. She knew she was pretty and couldn't stand not being the center of everyone's attention. She used people without hesitation and carried that attitude into adulthood. While I earned my master's degree in psychology and started my counseling internship after graduation, Vanessa dropped out of community college and, wanting money and admiration, dove headfirst into modeling and social media. It wasn't uncommon for her to come home in the morning just as I was leaving for the day, her eyes bloodshot from parties but still checking her phone obsessively for likes and comments. Another night shooting content? I said. I don't need a lecture from someone still mooching off their parents as a student, she replied. Don't worry, I'll be bringing back my counseling license soon enough. She argued back to me, but you'll never make as much as me, right? I can make 10 grand from one sponsored post. Can you? I told her I was not interested in making that kind of money or doing that kind of work. Vanessa said, boring, and walked back to her room, scrolling through her phone and cursing under her breath. Not long after, Vanessa moved out of our parents' house. Since then, she hardly ever came back. In the meantime, I married Nathan, whom I met through a mutual friend. Vanessa made a brief appearance at the wedding but didn't even offer her congratulations, too busy posing for selfies in the venue. Then one day, everything changed suddenly. It all started with a late-night call from my mom, my phone buzzing with anxiety as her name flashed on the screen. Hello? It's rare for you to call. There's no time for chat. Vanessa. She's come back home and got pregnant. Really? Nathan and I rushed to my parents' house, which wasn't far, driving as fast as we could, my mind racing with questions and concerns. When we arrived, there was Vanessa, her belly already noticeably large, one hand resting dramatically on it while the other held her phone, scrolling through Instagram. What's going on? Vanessa was filters for a selfie, acting as if nothing concerned her. What happened, Vanessa? She said, as you can see, I'm pregnant. I think I'm about 23 weeks along. Too late to terminate, so I'm just going to have the baby. Her nonchalant tone left me speechless, the callousness hitting me like a physical blow. Apparently, she had quit her modeling gigs, given up her apartment after falling behind on rent, and returned home. When we asked who the father was, she just dodged the question, changing the subject to her latest sponsored post. My parents and I were at a loss. Then Nathan, standing behind me, spoke gently. Maybe Vanessa is just putting on a brave face, but deep down, she's scared. Having a baby as a single mom is scary for anyone. As an architect with an eye for beauty, Nathan seemed drawn to Vanessa's external glow as a pregnant woman. Then, Nathan began to care for her more than anyone in the family, even visiting my parents' house on his own, bringing design magazines and helping decorate the nursery. Eventually, Vanessa gave birth to a beautiful baby girl. She named her Sophia. Regardless of the circumstances, she was our first grandchild and niece. Both my parents and I adored that tiny new life immensely, her small fingers curling trustingly around mine. However, Vanessa didn't change even after having a child. Her self-centered attitude remained, possibly worse than before. Vanessa, Sophia's crying. So what? Olivia, you can give her the bottle. For Vanessa, posting the perfect mom and baby selfie seemed to be a far bigger concern than actually feeding Sophia. The disconnect between her Instagram life and reality growing wider by the day. Nathan, believing that hormonal imbalances can happen around pregnancy and childbirth, started taking Vanessa out for some fresh air about a month after Sophia was born. Vanessa was more than happy to go along, tagging upscale locations and leaving Sophia behind. One weekend, Vanessa came to visit, Sophia bundled up in designer baby clothes that seemed more for show than comfort. What's up? You came all the way here with Sophia on the train? Yes, something like that. I felt an intense unease about Vanessa bringing Sophia on the train, noticing how she held her phone more carefully than her baby. Hey, can you watch Sophia for a bit? I want to go to my usual salon in the city. Without waiting for a response, Vanessa handed over the diaper bag and Sophia. Then left, already texting as she walked away. That day, Nathan had gone out for a design conference early in the morning, and I had been enjoying a quiet day alone. So taking care of Sophia wasn't a problem. But after a day of changing diapers, feeding, napping, and playing, it was already evening, my worry growing with the darkening sky. She's late. I messaged Vanessa several times, but while the messages were read, showing those little blue checks, there was no reply. And just like that, Vanessa disappeared, and from that day on, Nathan never returned home either, leaving nothing but a hollow space where our life together had been. The day after that shocking reunion, I was at the office working as usual. Since establishing my trauma counseling practice 4 years ago, I've been fortunate with clients who trust me. And today I had several sessions lined up in the afternoon. But today, an unexpected confrontation had emerged before those sessions, my stomach tightening with anticipation. I wonder what kind of face they'll make when they show up, I pondered, arranging my therapy tools neatly on the shelf. There was a knock at the door, sharp and impatient. Come in. At my call, the door opened, and Vanessa and Nathan were shown in by my receptionist. Their expressions were amusingly sullen, like teenagers called to the principal's office. What is this place? Like I said yesterday, it's my office. I gestured to the comfortable chairs, the calming blue walls, the certificates framed carefully on the wall. What's this about you being remarried? I didn't know. I replied, of course not. You disappeared without a word, and Nathan left his job and vanished too. How was I supposed to tell you? Vanessa clicked her tongue and glared at me, clearly annoyed. Her demeanor unchanged despite being in her 30s now, still acting like the center of everyone's universe. And yet, despite everything, you could still calmly face me after I suggested meeting? Do you have no idea what you did that made you disappear for 12 years? She said back, if anything, you should be grateful I gave a childless woman like you a beautiful child. You must be thrilled that your cute little niece Sophia became your daughter. Vanessa's smug grin was infuriating, and I exhaled quietly to maintain my composure, centering myself as I would advise my clients to do. Well, thanks for that, but it turns out I wasn't infertile. Vanessa said, what? I got pregnant right after remarrying, and now I have a second-grade daughter. She and Sophia are the best of friends. They both stared at me in stunned silence. Clearly not expecting that I'd had my child, the revelation shifting the ground beneath their carefully constructed narrative. She sounded shocked, no way. You weren't infertile? Apparently not. What made you think I was in the first place? Well, was it simply because Nathan and I didn't have kids for years? Was it compatibility, or maybe it was Nathan's issue? Caught off guard, Nathan shot me a surprised look, his designer glasses sliding down his nose. They must have mocked me behind my back. Infertile woman. Did Nathan leave me because of that label, that cruel assumption that defined me in their minds? Despite her slightly awkward expression, Vanessa kept her assertive tone and pressed further, one hand still clutching her phone like a lifeline. Well, good for you. So when did you remarry? I answered, 9 years ago. She continued to ask me questions. How old is he? What does he do? You're really grilling me. Is that a problem? I felt my defenses rising, my therapist training fighting with my personal feelings. He's 37, about the same age as me. He's a child psychologist. Hearing that, Vanessa suddenly burst into laughter, her perfectly manicured nails tapping against her designer phone case. What's so funny all of a sudden? You're so predictable. Your pride is just off the charts. What? You lost your architect husband to me, so you went and got yourself another professional? How pathetic. You can't stand being with someone who's beneath you, can you? It's hilarious how transparent you are. That was exactly the kind of thing Vanessa, with her inflated pride, would think. She probably chose her partners with the same mindset, scanning for status and appearance. But the truth is, I'm not particularly drawn to academics. In fact, back in the day, I avoided dating within the psychology field because it was too much self-analysis. It just so happened that both of my husbands were helping professions. To me, that's all it was. But explaining that to Vanessa would be pointless. After all, Vanessa was the one who chose Nathan as her runaway partner, precisely because he had design sense and status. Good for you. Since my husband was a designer, it made it easy for you, right? No need to search for men, just grab what's already there. You always need someone who can cater to your ego, right? I have tried to confirm a certain fact, Sophia's father. You were planning to settle down with that real estate developer's son who followed your Instagram, but he dumped you, didn't he? How do you know that? Vanessa's shocked expression brought a slight smile to my face, her carefully applied makeup unable to hide her surprise. In contrast, Nathan, sitting next to her, had a tense expression, his artistic hands gripping the chair. Nathan, let me clear something up. Sophia isn't your child. She's the child Vanessa had with a wealthy client she got involved with through her modeling work. You were just being used. He looked confused and said, What? Hold on. Sophia is my daughter. Vanessa said she was, and that's why we decided to have her. Well, sorry to break it to you. You got caught up in Vanessa's lies. Hey, you can't just say that. Vanessa's voice rose, panic flashing across her face. But it's the truth. You've got to be kidding me. What's your proof? I started in a clear tone of voice, a DNA test. Neither Vanessa nor Nathan seemed prepared for that. Their faces betrayed their confusion, all pretense dropping away in an instant. After you both disappeared, leaving Sophia behind, I checked the records. It showed that you had acknowledged her as your child. So I had it investigated to see if you and Sophia were really biologically related. What? Are you serious? You had no right. Vanessa's voice trembled with indignation, her perfectly crafted image cracking under pressure. Well, you did acknowledge her, didn't you? My sister's child, acknowledged by my husband. That's a serious issue, don't you think? So I investigated. But how did you even do that? Cigarette butts and a toothbrush. Really? You don't need blood or mucus for a DNA test. I used your cigarette butts and toothbrush from the house. The result, a 99% probability that you are not her father. Vanessa lied to you. Sophia isn't your child. I placed the test result documents in front of them. The report clearly stated that there was no biological relationship between them, the scientific facts impossible to argue with. Vanessa kept her distance, merely observing, but Nathan snatched up the paper immediately. His eyes wide as he meticulously read every word, his designer glasses sliding down his nose. Then, with a loud bang, he slammed the paper down on the desk and snapped at me. How reliable is this? You think you can deny it with just one piece of paper? This is the result of a proper examination conducted at the hospital where my husband works. If you don't believe it, I can bring in the person who conducted the test to explain. The hospital your husband works at? My second husband's hospital is one of the best private research institutions. Upon seeing the hospital's name on the test results, even Nathan couldn't argue and hung his head, his creative spirit crushed by cold facts. How did it come to this? I was with Vanessa even before she got pregnant. We were intimate. So how can Sophia not be my child? That's got to be a lie, right? So, you're finally admitting your relationship with Vanessa? Didn't expect to hear that from you. You've been seeing her for that long? He hesitantly said, well. I already knew. Nathan stared at me, shocked, with the same expression Vanessa had earlier, clearly not expecting I'd been aware of their secret meetings. Is it really that surprising? You were so obvious. You welcomed Vanessa back without any hesitation when she returned pregnant, treating her kindly under the guise of being a supportive friend. But that's because you knew about the pregnancy from the start, right? Was it your idea for her to return home at a time when she couldn't have an abortion? By returning at that stage, her parents had no choice but to accept her. Were you that eager to see your child? Nathan's eyes wavered slightly, his artistic sensibility failing to hide his emotions. Did he really want a child that much? I let out a small sigh, feeling both professional detachment and personal hurt collide within me. I did. I always wanted kids, but it just wasn't happening. Honestly, the stress made me throw myself into work more, staying late at the design studio, coming home exhausted. That's true. You did start staying at work more. I began thinking it was my fault, losing confidence in myself. Then one day, Vanessa approached me near the coffee shop I frequented, and I started going to her place, drawn to her seeming admiration of my designs. Vanessa was really attentive, always praising my work with enthusiasm. There were things I just couldn't tell you, Olivia. But Vanessa accepted everything. I leaned on her attention. When she suggested a deeper relationship, saying, "Why not use my beauty in your designs?" it just happened. So you ended up in a physical relationship with Vanessa? I did. With that, Nathan hung his head in shame, his creative hands now lying limp in his lap. He was the type who hated hurting others, someone you'd describe as a picture of integrity. For Nathan to betray his wife with her sister was unthinkable. Yet he got trapped in the situation. For Vanessa, skilled at manipulating men, Nathan was an easy target. But Vanessa was already pregnant when she got involved with you. She knew it, and still lured you in. Was it then she told you she was pregnant and made you the stand-in father? She used our situation, knowing we couldn't have kids, to take you from me. Nathan responded with bloodshot eyes, speaking frantically. This is a lie, right? It's all a lie, isn't it? You're just testing me. I told him, no, it's all true. And why would I test you? You betrayed me. My sister took my husband. I'm just laying out the facts after investigating. You were completely in the dark. Nathan's face grew paler by the second. Why bring this up now? You're asking that? Until I saw you yesterday, I was content with my life. But meeting you brought it all back. That Vanessa deceived you, and you abandoned me, then left Sophia with me. You should know what kind of woman Vanessa really is. I didn't mean to abandon you, Nathan muttered, clenching his fists. Whether you meant it or not, you did. Why would you leave the child you wanted and disappear? Because Vanessa said she couldn't handle raising a child. You remember how Vanessa was after the birth, right? I immediately replied. Right after giving birth, all she cared about were her selfies. She left all childcare to me and Mom. He said, exactly. Vanessa couldn't handle it. I just wanted to support her. The guy in front of me, lost in his self-righteous fantasy. How naive could he be? Of course. Vanessa always needed to be the center of attention. Do you think someone like that could raise a child who would naturally be loved more than herself? Maybe it was for the best for Sophia. With parents like you too, she wouldn't have turned out well. What did you say? Someone who abandons a child couldn't possibly raise one properly. Vanessa saw having a child with a talented architect as an Instagram project, didn't she? She glared at me and said, "You're being incredibly rude." Am I? I think forcing someone to sign an abortion consent form, then keeping the baby anyway, is far ruder. Vanessa gasped in shock. Abortion consent form? Vanessa talked it over with the real father, agreed to an abortion, and received $220,000. Seriously? The guy was a client from her modeling work, wealthy, good-looking, and the son of a real estate CEO. Vanessa tried to trap him, but he already had someone lined up. When her pregnancy came to light, he didn't want the child. Vanessa agreed to the abortion and took the money. But instead, she kept the baby and made you the stand-in father. Right, Vanessa? I smirked as Vanessa grimaced silently. Olivia, how did you find all this out? I hired a digital specialist. They traced Vanessa's social media history, recovered deleted posts, and discovered everything. After that, I spoke directly with him. You met him? How is he doing? Vanessa's sudden eagerness irritated me. What are you saying, why? He paid the settlement thinking it was settled? I spoke with his lawyer too. You signed an agreement. He was shocked you broke your promise. Of course, the pregnancy was a nightmare for him. He bears some responsibility, which is why he paid the settlement. But Vanessa betrayed him. Come on. Having a child with a man like that isn't something you get to do every day. You really did see the child as an accessory. And in the end, you couldn't even raise her. Seeing that she hadn't changed one bit, I felt a wave of resignation. It was pointless to continue this conversation. Well, I'm grateful, honestly. Because of all that, I got to become Sophia's parent. And most importantly, I met my husband. My second husband is a friend of Sophia's biological father. He's a child psychologist who started helping when he heard I was raising Sophia alone. He became my husband so we could formally adopt her. I'm truly thankful, and now I couldn't be happier. Sophia is excelling in school and art. You don't need to worry about her. With that, I stood, signaling the conversation was over. But Vanessa blurted out something outrageous. Wait. Give Sophia back to me. Now that you have your own child, you can give me Sophia back. I see. So that's why you came today. Seeing Sophia in that uniform made you want her back? The child you once thought was defective is now attending a prestigious school. That must be irresistible for someone like you who loves having a trophy for Instagram. If you understand, then give her back. You've got your own kid now. Her desperation made me chuckle. What's so funny? Well, nothing. I just thought you seemed really desperate. Of course. She's my child. Are you going to raise her alone? Of course. I'll raise her with Nathan. Is that so? Why don't you take a look at Nathan's face? Vanessa finally glanced at Nathan. There he was, standing expressionless. Vanessa called out hesitantly, and Nathan responded with a sharp look. Nathan said, I want a divorce. Wait. I'm divorcing you, Vanessa. Why? How come? Shaking his arm frantically, Vanessa pleaded, but Nathan glared at her. For the past 12 years, no, since the day we met, I've been deceived by you. We're divorcing immediately, and I'll be pressing charges for fraud. Vanessa gasped and clung to his arm. I'm sorry. I didn't mean for it to be like this. But Nathan remained silent. As I watched, my phone rang. It was Sophia. What's up? I put it on speaker. Sophia's voice echoed from the phone, causing the two to fall silent. Sophia asked if I could take her and her friend to the arts museum for an art project about family. Those exhibits are always so moving. Does it remind you of when your sister was born? Of course. She was so tiny and adorable. Mom, thank you. What did you say? She told me in a clear tone this time, thanks for having my sister. Sophia, are you happy being my child? Of course. I don't care about someone who abandoned me. They're just a stranger now. If you hadn't raised me, if you hadn't married Dad, I wouldn't have met my little sister or my best friends. You're the best mom ever. You're understanding, wise, and genuine. There's no one else who could be my mom. Vanessa was left speechless, stunned by Sophia's words. For the first time, she looked genuinely shaken. Nathan gave me a silent nod and walked out. Vanessa's desperate cries echoed down the hall as she hurried after him. Later, I received a message from Vanessa's lawyer. She was having trouble accepting the divorce and accused me of falsifying the DNA test results. I sent not only the results proving Nathan wasn't Sophia's father but also the DNA test showing the match between Sophia and her biological father, along with recovered social media posts where Vanessa had admitted the truth. Faced with these results, even Vanessa had no choice but to remain silent. However, knowing Vanessa, there was no way she would quietly accept that. I choose not to help her. I hope they live with the regrets of their actions for the rest of their lives. But my only wish is for the happiness of my beloved Sophia and my family. That is all I have.